Once upon a midnight dreary, in a quaint suburban neighborhood, there stood a house, weathered by time and shrouded in mystery. This was the residence of Emily, a young woman who found herself alone one stormy evening when her parents were unexpectedly called away on urgent business. As the rain lashed against the window panes and thunder rumbled ominously in the distance, Emily tried to distract herself by reading a book in the cozy confines of her living room. But the eerie stillness of the house unsettled her, and every creak and groan of the old structure seemed magnified in the silence. As the clock struck midnight, Emily heard a faint scratching, sound coming from the attic above. Ignoring it at first, she convinced herself it was just the wind. But the scratching persisted, growing louder and more insistent with each passing moment. Summoning her courage, Emily decided to investigate. Armed with a flashlight, she ascended the narrow staircase leading to the attic, the air growing colder with each step. Upon reaching the top, she cautiously pushed open the creaking door and peered into the darkness beyond. What she saw made her blood run cold. In the dim light of her flashlight, she glimpsed a shadowy figure hunched in the corner of the attic, its eyes gleaming with malevolent intent. Frozen in terror, Emily could only watch as the figure slowly rose to its feet, revealing its ghastly form. It was a specter, a restless soul trapped between the worlds of the living and the dead. With a chilling wail, it reached out towards Emily, its icy touch sending shivers down her spine. Paralyzed with fear, she could do nothing but stand and stare as the spectre drew closer, its ghostly visage contorted in anguish. But just as the spectre was about to engulf her in its icy embrace, Emily's instincts kicked in. With a primal scream, she hurled her flashlight at the apparition, the beam of light piercing through its form with a deafening crack. With a final mournful wail, the spectre vanished into the darkness, leaving Emily trembling in its wake. Shaken but alive, Emily fled from the attic, her heart pounding in her chest. Racing downstairs, she bolted the door behind her, sealing herself safely inside the house. And as the storm raged on outside, she knew that she would never forget the night she faced the shadows of solitude and lived to tell the tale. From that day forth, Emily's house stood as a beacon of caution to all who dared to venture near. A reminder that some secrets are best left undisturbed, and that even in the safety of one's own home, darkness can still find a way in. The long story short is that we used to live in a duplex in a poor ghetto neighborhood. We had a lemon tree in our tiny backyard that basically took up the entire space. The consequence of this was that people would literally climb into our backyard to steal lemons. I mean, obviously, there were people who asked, but that wasn't always the case. In particular, there was this strange lady who always came to steal them. She wasn't homeless or anything. In fact, we later learned that she was the wife of somebody related from my grandpa's side. We caught her a couple of times and even reported her. I'm pretty sure she had some sort of mental disability. So one day, I'm home alone and I hear a knock on the door. I go check the window and there she is, peering in at me. She asks me to open the door. We have a security door, so I figure why not since I can't ignore her now that she knows I'm home. I open the door and of course she wants our lemons. I tell her no, and that my parents have already talked to her before about this. She immediately starts yelling and cursing at me, slamming at the security door. I'm actually pretty fucking scared at this point. I tell her to leave or else I'm calling the cops. She's screaming at the top of her lungs about how selfish we are and calling me names. I then just close the door on her. She starts slamming on the security bars on the windows, still yelling. At this point, I'm like, okay, fuck, I'm calling the police. When I suddenly hear noise from the side of the house. I immediately realize she's trying to climb the fence into our backyard. I didn't actually want to go outside and face the crazy woman, so I'm just standing there stunned, not sure what to do. I hear some loud banging, and then looking out the window, I see her just walk away. Some weeks later, my Grandpa and Grandma had a super scary encounter with her as well. They lived like 2 blocks away from us, which is how we learned about the connection.